who wants to say, anybody who wants to say anything, or anybody who wants to introduce themselves or anything, people can have up to 1 minute to do that. It's kind of our open mic section, so nobody gets left out. Okay. So I just want to mention we're in terrible times, and we're right now in Black History Month, and it looks to me like our president is doing everything that he possibly can think of to destroy and give no power to Black people, people of color, poor people, everybody, basically. And I know we're all in a real hard time over this. And all I can say is don't quit. Just get out there, do as much as you can to turn things around, because eventually we will win. Okay, I think we're ready to start the hearing from our first guest. We're very excited. Uh, we have Barbara Lee here, and she's going to be introduced by board member Richard Lee.
Thanks, Carol. Well, she really needs no introduction, but I think we're all probably familiar with her. Barbara Lee has been a public servant for all of her life. She's served the East Bay community as a in the state assembly, in the state senate, and then before being elected to Congress, where she was the former chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and a champion for us time and time again for over 25 years. And we know her as a staunch anti-war advocate, among some other things, but she was the lone no vote, as we all know, for the authorization of use of force after 9/11. She was a very early and vocal supporter of ceasefire in Gaza. And time again, she's just demonstrated the values we hold as progressives, and was endorsed both by OREB as well as Our Revolution National. So she's a friend of the club. She's a friend of Our Revolution, and now she's running for mayor of Oakland, and we're honored to have her with us today to talk about her campaign. So, Congress member, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks so much. Really great to be with you today. And Carol, I listened to what you were talking about as I came on about Donald Trump, and really he's about canceling out everybody in this country, and it's very scary, but we need to organize, and I know Our Revolution does that very well. And so please keep resisting, organizing, and really that's the basis of which making life better for everyone will happen, because right now the clock is being turned back on so many of the policies, funding priorities, programs that we fought so hard for. So thank you all very much for staying the course. Yes, I'm running for mayor of Oakland. Would love your support. I have worked for Oakland as a member of the California legislature, of course, formerly Stafford to Ron, and then as a member of Congress. I brought billions of dollars into Oakland. And I tell you, Oakland is a city that is a vibrant city. We have artists, and we have restaurants, and we have entrepreneurs, we have organizations, we have activists, we have a business community that wants to do business in Oakland. And the moment, I think, is here for us to show some leadership and bring people together, because governing is very important for progressives. And we have to be a hands-on governor, mayor. And I believe that my experience and my leadership over the years has prepared me for this job. And I took 2 months to decide, because I wanted to get a handle on the budget, of course, the priorities, and also wanted to make sure that everyone knew that I either wanted to run or I did not want to run. And I can tell you for sure that after my 2 months of due diligence, and I'm still doing that during this campaign, I really want to run, and I really want to do this. And I'd love your help. And I want to be a mayor who's going to be able to present our values, Oakland values, values that will help the most vulnerable, but also values that will encourage development, value-driven development, making sure that workers have the type of benefits and work environment that they deserve, and making sure that our community organizations are at the table, including our young people. Actually, and I'll start by saying this morning, I met with some young people. And of course, climate is the big issue for all of us, but young people especially, because they don't see a world in which they're going to live. And we talked about what I've done in Oakland in terms of the Inflation Reduction Act and bringing in federal investments to address all of the vulnerabilities as it relates to climate in Oakland and environmental justice issues. And, you know, and I talked about the Green New Deal, and they all knew about the Green New Deal. And I said, well, you know, I want young people at the table. What if we look at a local Green New Deal, an Oakland Green New Deal? What do you all think about that? And they love the idea. They're going to look at the bill, they're going to see what's possible. So I think even though the challenges are many, the opportunities are great. And we have to do this together. And I'm asking for our revolution's support in this effort. Thank you all again very much for your help during the Senate campaign. Money ruled, of course, and we've got to get to public financing of campaigns at some point. And so we're still on the front lines. And I thank you again for everything that you've done to make this world a better place. Thanks again.
Okay, great. We have a couple questions. Let's see, Sherry, I believe you have a question you wanted to ask. You're muted. Unmute, please.
First, I didn't know I was going to be first.
Well,
we are so honored to have you today, Honorable Barbara Lee. I have just a quick story myself of my first time that I was an ADEM, which we're going to talk about today too. Barbara Lee invited the ADEMs that were recently elected from AD18 to come to her office and sit down at a big round table and ask her the questions and talk about the things that we thought were very important in AD18. And I just am so appreciative because I felt at the time that like I was kind of like a little mouse, and it was so nice to have that opportunity to have that discussion. So that being said, and knowing that I'm a great fan, one of the things that concerns me is I have grandchildren in Oakland, and the safety and general problem with crime is perceived in Oakland as very concerning. And I'm kind of concerned as mayor how you would balance the wanting safety and to protect the citizens of Oakland with police accountability, reducing racial profiling, and holding your officers accountable in the light of the reduced budget and the budget problems.
Sure. Sherry, that's a very important question, especially for our revolution, for myself, and for people who want public safety in a way that's truly public safety for every community. And the residents of Oakland, the voters of Oakland, passed Measure NN, which set forth a comprehensive strategy to address public safety throughout the city. And so a couple of things. One is we have to have transparency and accountability with the police department. That's a given. And I've always supported the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. I've always supported making sure that community policing is real in terms of community resident relationships. Also in Measure NN, it set forth a comprehensive strategy to deal with public safety, which of course included an additional, I think, to 700 police officers, but also the integration of ceasefire and the mental health workers who work in our program to prevent arrests from being taking place when people really need help, alternatives and ceasefire, and all the violence interrupters and violence prevention programs. So we have to look at public safety. One is like everybody deserves public safety, but two, over policing is not the answer. And three, we know what works, and we know what is working in Oakland, even though the it's the crime rate's coming down. Nobody believes it, but it is. And that's because finally we had a Department of Violence Prevention and Ceasefire that's integrated now into the overall public safety strategy. And so I would want to do that. And I would also, I'm looking at public safety from a regional perspective, because when I was in the legislature, Tom Bates and I started the public safety corridor, and it worked. We had everyone in the region at the table. And so we were able to prevent a lot of crimes from taking place. And then, so I'm looking at regionalism in a bunch of, a few areas, but also in terms of just making sure that everyone has a seat at the table and that we know what's going on. So transparency, accountability, and a comprehensive approach to public safety is what we really need to do here in Oakland.
Thank you so much. And before we go on, if you're not a speaker, please have respect for our program and our speakers and mute yourself so that we don't have any interruptions. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Michael, I believe you had submitted a question. Would you like to ask?
Yes. Barbara Lee, we really understand your progressive thoughts and acts in Congress. I have actually two questions, but I'll merge them into one. I think they're all related. There are some local social media have commented on your lack of experience in local government. And my question actually specifically is that when you were in Congress, you act in I would call it a high level, if you will. Now you're running for Oakland mayor, is much more ground level acts and thoughts. Do you think your experience in Congress will help you or encumber you in your Oakland effort?
And my experience in Congress will help me because leadership matters. Secondly, if you all know me, I'm a hands-on person, and I have delivered billions of dollars to Oakland. I know Oakland very well. I know the organizations. I know the issues. And being a hands-on mayor is what Oakland needs. And I intend to use my experience as well as my ability to bring people together to solve problems. That's how I would move forward if I'm so fortunate to get the voters' vote to be the mayor of Oakland.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, great. Joaquin, you had submitted a question. Would you like to ask?
Okay, can you hear me?
Excuse me, Joaquin, hold on one second. We don't have a lot of time. Congressman Lee is really busy, as you can imagine. And we could maybe possibly take one question if somebody wants to put it in the chat, and I can't guarantee. Okay, go for it, Joaquin, sorry.
Oh, am I muted or can you hear me?
We hear you.
Okay, thanks. This is sort of a common concern as well as crime and everything else, but housing, and it's a boilerplate probably question, but do you have any thoughts on the, housing, homelessness crisis, or something to say about that? When we support whatever you're gonna say, I'm sure it's gonna be a good solution, but anyway, do you have thoughts on that?
Housing, first of all, we have to have more affordable housing, but we also have vacant buildings. And I want to see and learn more about why we can't use vacant buildings for affordable housing strategies. Is it zoning? Are there regulations that will not allow for that? And is this something that we can see? Secondly, when it comes to housing, also, I led with Bernie. It was my legislation that established the Federal Housing Trust Fund. Now, who knows what's going to happen at the federal level? I think we know. But I also know that we can form housing trusts in our own community where nonprofits purchase land and then either rehab or build and sell or rent housing that's affordable because the price of the land is held in the trust. And so we have to look at creative solutions. Next, with regard to our unsheltered population, Of course, the rate of increase is going down, which, you know, we started much too high. It's a moral disgrace. And I've been looking at how to address unsheltered people in terms of making sure that making sure that the services, the wraparound services that they need, mental health, transitional housing, permanent housing, is in place. And that a couple of things, we need to make sure that the time that a person lives on the streets is minimized, because that becomes home. Everyone wants a home. So if you're on the streets for X amount of time, it's more difficult to get people into housing. And so the length of time, I think, is something we have to look at. Next, and I've been looking around the country, and this goes to my ability being on the Appropriations Committee and Budget Committee to know what's going on everywhere that's working. I'm thinking what we need to add to this issue around homelessness is basic universal income. But Portland, Oregon is paying people to clean up blight, $20 an hour. I think, and I went to Curitiba, Brazil, which years ago was the cleanest, greenest city in the world. And what they did was they hired people who were poor and who were on the streets to clean up the blight, and it worked. And so why don't we look at how we can bring in additional resources to try out, at least, paying people to clean up blight with, of course, our public works department and our labor unions to work with them. It's reduced the unsheltered population in Portland by 70%. And these people have stable jobs now because they were trained in the process, and now they're living their lives. So let's look at other ways to do housing in Oakland. Let's think out of the box, because the budget is a mess. Yes, minimal resources to do anything with, but let's see how we use our existing resources and find outside investments and foundation and other kinds of investments to do housing different in Oakland.
All right. Would you have time for one question?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. And unfortunately, guys, we only have time for one. There's just too much going on. Okay. Ida Martinak has submitted a question. Do you want to ask your question?
Yes. Hi, Congresswoman Lee. We met several times. I'm curious, given the seriousness of the situation in the country, which can only be described as a fascist coup, how would you collaborate with the governor? How would you protect citizens of California from the horror show unfolding nationally? Like, I was told that the military can commandeer our police, which is extremely troubling. How are we going to protect ourselves?
Yeah. We have to do this together. Let me tell you, I was in Washington as your member of Congress during the 4 years of the Trump administration. I was sitting there on the floor of Congress, very few of us in leadership, on January 6th. I know how dangerous the moment is we're in. Now with all of the January 6th insurrectionists, those who wanted to stop the peaceful transfer of power through violence, they're out. And so we're in a bad place. But let me tell you, California and the governor has acknowledged we're still a sanctuary state. Oakland is still a sanctuary city. And we have to resist all of this by coming together and not let Donald Trump divide us up. And that's their plan, to divide Black and brown communities from white communities, from our seniors, from our children, young people, so we have to do that. And I would want to be part of that process to resist, but also making sure that we have the wherewithal through our organizations to help people, because people are traumatized. Kids are not going to school. They're scared, they're afraid. And so we have to pull all of our resources together, mental health, trauma experts, and people who can just help people survive this. But I worry a lot about what's taking place. I did not vote for ICE. I pushed back on ICE. I went to detention centers where Trump was snatching children away from their parents and saw pregnant women in prison uniforms. I know the inhumanity of these decisions. And so as a mayor, I would join with the community to fight back. But it's going to take all of us. It's not going to be any mayor to take this on. And we have to finally, I'll just say, lawyer up, because we're going to have to file lawsuits and hope the courts are slow, and hope that the current laws prevail for 4 years. And so we have to challenge them in court big time.
I am from Yugoslavia, what used to be Yugoslavia, from Croatia. I've seen where this leads, and I'm terrified. You know, the fact that the police can be commandeered by the military is absolutely terrifying. I know where this can go. And
I understand that. And that's illegal, really, but they'll do it. And hopefully, you know, and I don't vote for the military budget because waste, fraud, and abuse, and we over militarize our federal budget. But let me tell you, I'm hoping that the military will not follow the orders of this man who is not really a lawful commander-in-chief.
thank you.
Okay. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to ask more questions today, but you know, people can email her office. I'd like to mention that our Revolution East Bay does a lot of things like tabling at farmers markets for candidates, and I imagine we'll be doing that. I personally live in Berkeley, so I can't vote for you. But hey, you guys don't need to live in Oakland to support this campaign.
Thank you, Carol, very much. And I would love your support. I hope I've earned it, but I am going to run hard. I'm running hard. And April 15th. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Okay, good seeing everybody.
All right. Okay, folks. All right, that was great. Yeah, I apologize to those who put questions in and we weren't able to take them. We got a big meeting today and her time was tight. I knew that ahead of time. So anyway, we're going to move on. And so there's a lot more people here now than when we started. So let me just mention a couple of things. Our first segment of today was Barbara Lee. Our second, we're going to hear from various people that our Revolution East Bay invited from different slates. There's unfortunately everybody that's good couldn't get invited because we decided to limit it at 14 max for any district. We're not endorsing slates, we endorse people. And so basically there will be people from independents from different slates in each district, but there'll be a maximum of 14 people that we selected for any of the districts. And if there's anybody who is left out, we have time at the end of our meeting where anybody can speak for like 1 minute and say who they are or make an announcement or something like that. Okay, so we're talking a lot about ADEMs, and I know a lot of you here are running or you know what it is, but we're going to have, just for people that aren't really clear, we're going to hear from Sherry Johansson, the co-chair of our Revolution, with a little bit of information about what is this ADEM thing. Sherry.
Well, that's exactly right, Carol. What the heck is ADEMs and why are they important? So the first thing is that about every 2 years, the California Democratic Party holds these elections in each of the 80 assembly districts to elect delegates to vote in the party. This is not a public election in the sense that the Democratic Party is actually a club who make the rules and who as to who can be a delegate and how the election goes. It's a very large, influential club, but it is a private club nonetheless. The party has designated 3 different groups to be allowed to have a say in who they endorse, the issues that they support, how the money that they take in is acquired and spent, and the election of their officers and committees. I tried to look all over the place for the three-legged stool. So I hope all of you have seen it, or there's somebody that can get their hands on it, because that's all a good graphic representation of how this is supposed to work. Basically, there's three sections and divided into thirds. The first section are delegates that are chosen by state elected officials. They all are assigned a certain number of delegates, and I round the 3,500 to 3,000 just because it's easier to visualize. So they get their 1,000 people in each assembly district. The other third are central committee members. And I know a lot of people here are probably central committee members, and the central committees each get to choose how many, I think the delegates are apportioned by how many Democrats there are in their particularly area of influence. But each central committee, like the Alameda Central Committee, the Contra Costa Central Committee, all of those guys get to decide how to fill their delegate positions. And then the group that we're talking about today is the ADEMs. And these are supposed to be independent, grassroots Democrats that represent people in the clubs, as Carol said, people that go out and work for candidates, that donate to candidates, that are not just regular citizens, but are involved in elections and involved in the Democratic Party. Okay. But like all designs, this is not exactly how it turns out in actuality. In the last few years, due to some very hard work of individuals, both the elected group and the Central Committee group contain independent progressives also. Unfortunately, the other is true too. Some candidates running for the ADEMs are closely aligned with elected and corporate Dems, which makes this whole system more difficult. It also is kind of difficult because of the way it's done. You have to have registered for an online ballot this year, which means that deadline was January 31st. Then you're going to get a PIN number and ballot, I think, by mail, but for sure a PIN number and instructions on how you can vote. You can still vote in person on February 22nd and 23rd, but the locations of those in-person voting are like here in our, up by me, which I'm in Pinole, there's one in Martinez and there's one in Hayward, but for instance, there's not one in Berkeley or Oakland or the city of Alameda. So you do, if you didn't register for that all important online ballot, you're going to have to drive a little bit to be able to vote. Okay, so the people, as Carol said, this is a real short distance. We don't have the time to go through our regular endorsement processes, which involves, a questionnaire and vetting the candidates and then presenting them to you. So the people that we are presenting today are basically people that we feel believe that the Democratic Party should be focused on people and not profits, especially not taking money from fossil fuel or big pharma or healthcare companies. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said the Democrats seem to care more about Robert's rules of order than affecting real change. And then we're supposed to act like money only corrupts the Republicans. So our Revolution East Bay feels very, very strongly that the only way we're going to kind of get our ship of state back on track is to eliminate money in politics and have a lot more people voices in politics. So we strongly believe that the people that you will hear today also agree with that. Some of these people are people we have endorsed before. We've also relied on people that we've endorsed before to kind of give us information about people that we didn't know. It certainly is not the best process ever. And we really encourage you guys to do your own due diligence. On the site, which is ademelections.com, they have published the candidate statements, which are what we all wrote about ourselves. There's also a lot of forums going on. So we're encouraging you to get as much information as always, which is what we encourage you all the time. So I believe, again, like we were talking about the problem with what's going on in our country right now, more than ever, the Democratic Party must make significant changes and must listen to the people. And electing progressives and people who are not embedded with these large corporations, we believe is a start. So the rest of our agenda is going to be the people that are running that we have asked to come and present themselves to you as much as possible. Some of them couldn't come. So I'm going to throw it back to Carol.
Okay, I just like to clarify one thing that she said. It's not the rest of our agenda. It's this segment, because we're also going to be hearing from two candidates that are running for mayor of Oakland. And we're also going to have an open mic at the end for anybody that can speak for 1 minute. And I hear somebody talking in the background. Could people check their mics and turn your mic off if you're not the one being called on? All right, so we're going to start with District 18, hearing from people that live in District 18. I know there were 3 slates that I'm aware of. There may have been more of people. Anyway, we've selected 14 people between the 3 slates, actually from 2 of them, and people running independently. There's always people that are not running on slates also. And let me see. Joanna, could you call on your slate people? Talk first a minute or so what you're about, and then call on the people that are here, because I'm not sure who's in which slate on this. And then I'll call on the independents and the other slate.
Okay, you got it, Carol. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Our Revolution, for always taking a stand for people over profit. This is also why we're running. We're running as part of the People's Slate in order to bring the people's voice to the California Democratic Party. My name is Ioana Chuklova. I'm an attorney, a restorative justice circle keeper. Many of you know me. I have been a delegate for the last 2 years, and I delivered on every single promise that I ran on. And right now I'm going to share just a little bit about our platform. I'm going to share the link to our full platform in the chat so y'all can see, but essentially our platform has 3 main pillars. The first one being to champion progressive policies that allow working class people to thrive and build power. That looks like more housing for our people, land trusts, community co-ops, not just a few affordable housing units in big developments, right? That looks like community safety mechanisms like mental health services, restorative justice diversion, all kinds of things that our community needs in order to actually be safe. That looks like protecting our immigrants at a time right now when so many people are under attack. The second pillar is about taking a stand for all oppressed people around the world and for a free Palestine. We know that it's not only that the human rights violations that are happening abroad that are wrong, they are wrong, but it's also that our own federal taxpayer dollars are going to fund human rights violations abroad. We want this money to be right here in our communities, paying for the housing that we need, paying for the healthcare that we need, paying for our communities, and not killing people abroad. And the last pillar is about really furthering democracy within the party, financing of elections, etc. Right? We know that right now, when money are able to buy politicians, those politicians are accountable to the donor class, not to their voter class, right? And we are the voters. We demand that the electeds who are running for office and who are seeking the endorsement of the California Democratic Party are actually accountable to us. There's a lot more to say, which is why I'm so excited that my slate here with me. I'm gonna pass to each one of them, and I'm gonna put our names in the chat so that you can see the names of the full slate, even for the folks who are not here right now. And just to say, we love hanging out with each other. We love each other. Maya is like right here across from me on the table. So we are truly running together because we're a strong community and we're here to serve you all. I'm gonna pass, I think, to Kalima first, if you're ready.
I'd like to interrupt for a minute. People have a max of 1 minute to talk now, because we got a lot of people to hear from today. Okay, Kalima, go for it.
Thank you for making that comment about the time. You know me, I can talk. Yeah. So my name is Kalima, everyone. I am a council member in Emeryville. I believe I'm the only city elected official who's running in this ADEM race. And I just want to say that I am thankful for being a part of this slate. You know, I think that like that Sean, Nelson, Nelsie, Cheney. I think everybody is, a lot of great folks are running. But I chose to be on this slate because we're all working together to draft the platform that Joanna talked about. It took a lot of work, and one of the most important things that I love about the platform, for the first time as being in a Democratic Party, there is a call for greater participation of men of color in politics. Unfortunately, one of our opposing slates, there aren't any men of color, and you're seeing a whole lot of that where the progressive label is used. But as you can see, with this last election, we can't go far without having the participation of men of color in our politics. And so that, as well as several other points in the platform, is why I'm running with the People's Slate.
Kalima, I'm gonna pass to Maya next.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
One of you has to mute since you're sitting across from each
Hi, my
other.
name is Maya Kane, and I'm so happy to be also running as part of the People's Slate for AD 18. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. I've been calling Oakland home for the last 9 years. And I was raised by a single mom, and in many ways, watching my mom struggle to provide for me and my sister and worry about whether the water would be on or the lights would be on is a big part of what inspired me to make sure that other people wouldn't have to go through what she went through for access to basic needs. And so that's why I'm so excited to be able to work together to champion these policies that really will help working class people thrive and build power. Just a little bit more about myself. I have a background in behavioral neuroscience and public policy, and I've spent over 15 years focusing on public health, working on social determinants of health, so things outside of the healthcare system that influence your health and well-being. Um, and I've worked in government at HHS as well as in nonprofits, both in the US and abroad. So I have a range of experience, and I'm really excited to be able to bring that experience here to Oakland. In the East Bay, I've volunteered as a doula, supporting moms at a public hospital who were going through really painful labor. I was also a peer counselor at the Berkeley Free Clinic, which also has this value of people over profit and provides free services to people without health insurance. And then with Joanna and others at New Leaders Council, I also help facilitate training for the next generation of leaders who are really committed to advancing equity, focusing on racial justice, focusing on creating the community that we all deserve to see and live in. So I know we only have a minute, so that's a little bit about myself, and I'd be more than happy to talk to any of you later. And I will pass it to Norma, our other slate mate.
Hi all. My name is Norma Rosco. I work full-time at the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. I've been there for almost 8 years now, doing community work and restorative justice work. I also sit on the board for CWA Local 9415, where I organize and specifically support organizations that do social justice-based work. So I unionize and bargain for nonprofits. And I decided to run this year. I never saw myself as a person who was running, but honestly, I'm just so tired. I am so tired of the corporate backing. I'm tired of the money. I'm tired of the politics. Like, people are dying. Y'all, people are dying. And you all can't have like a civil conversation. And so Joanna came to me with the idea of the People Slate, and it's a strategy and it's a movement that is building statewide. We're running with the Progressive Delegate Network, and this, I mean, we are our own funders, right? We are our own funders. We are our own community, and we know that money doesn't buy elections. They've tried and they do that, but what's going to win elections, especially in an election this small, is people. And so we're not taking any funding from anyone. We're raising money ourselves. And with that money, we don't have a lot to be able to do text blasts or mass blasts or these big emails. It's really coming to meetings. It's really doing community outreach. It's really touching with the people of Oakland, the people of Alameda County, of these different areas that we're trying to serve. Thank you.
Okay, again, I want to interrupt and remind people, 1 minute max, because we got 50 people today. Not
Got it,
quite.
Carol. I'll keep time for the rest of my slate mates. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
okay.
Go with Sarah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sarah.
Hi, apologies. I'm in an airport traveling for work, but I'll try to keep it brief. My name is Sarah Arvison. I'm really excited to be running on the People's Slate. I'm a born and raised Californian. I live in West Oakland. I've been doing political work both electorally and in the labor movement, building a mass independent worker movement since I turned 18 years old. And was really prompted to run for ADEMs this year for the first time when I ran as a DNC delegate and won last year, and really saw both in the California State Democratic Party as well as the National Democratic Party how little democracy there is. I mean, everyone should be able to vote in these elections if you're a Democrat. It shouldn't be such a difficult process. It shouldn't be so difficult to vote in person. You shouldn't have to travel so far. And yeah, I'll just say I was the previous vice president of UAW 4811, representing almost 50,000 workers across the University of California. Was really proud to push a lot of progressive vision there. And I'm very excited to be running on this amazing, diverse slate. We have young and old, black and brown and Asian and white and all over the East Bay. And, again, taking no outside money. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for joining from the airport. We'll go to Desmond next.
Hi, our revolution. Thank you for just organizing this today. You guys are the epitome of civic engagement that we want to see and we need. I think of our revolution, I think of not just revolution, but resistance to the current administration and negative policies. And that's what our slate stands for. Single payer healthcare, giving people opportunities to thrive, to live, affordable housing, and making sure there's a lot of money in the budget, in the state budget, for development, for low income affordable housing, especially for minority and people of indigenous descent to develop. And a lot of that money was not spent. And so there's a lot of money out there that could be used for this development to make sure everyone thrives. This is why I'm running. This is to make sure the people's voice get heard and that we can succeed. Even all the negativity that we hear, there is opportunity for us to come together. I think that's under 1 minute, and I'll stop right there. Please support us.
Amazing. Right on time, Desmond. I think we have one last slate member, Sarah Perez. Are you here?
Hi, I'm here. Hi, Our Revolution. I just want to say thank you. It is an honor to be here. I, again, am Sarah Perez. I am heavily involved in union activism. I've been involved for the last 8 years. I'm currently the vice president of one of the second largest unions in San Francisco. And as my day job, I'm a public servant. Social equality is, can you hear me? Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Sorry, I saw you, Anna. Social equality is one of the reasons why I'm actually running. We're not going to be making America great again, first and foremost. And so that is actually why I stepped up to help and run for ADEMs, because there's so many things that are happening, you know. They talk about profit for people, and right now they are trying to essentially run government as big business, which is not ethical or moral. A lot of it is self-interest. And so just want to also or I also want to state that it is important. There is the government or the governor election upcoming. And so that will be crucial that we have somebody that can continue to back California, because with everything that's happening, everybody feels that we are safe. We may not be. A lot of what I have been doing is actually educating the public on what is happening legally and what their rights are. So again, I just thank you for this opportunity. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Our Revolution, for giving us the time. These are all the slate members who are here.
Okay, could you say very briefly anything about the ones that are not here?
Sure. Let me look at the list real
10
quick.
20 seconds or something.
20 seconds. You got it. Starting with Howard Eggerman. He's an elder. He's done a lot of work in labor. He's been in the Democratic Party for more years than I've been alive and continues to show up. Stuart Chen is a member of the Chinatown what is it called? Labor Council, I think. One of the communities that helps run Chinatown here in Oakland, also a longtime organizer, incredible human being. Queen Aimina Ahmad is new to electoral politics. We're very excited she's joining. She's a creator, entrepreneur, and a community ambassador for Oakland all around the world. She just came back from Davos, Switzerland. And Elisa Victory, you all know our incredible Elisa, who's an organizer, an attorney, civil rights attorney like me. Thank you all.
All right, thank you so much. In District 14, there's 3 other people that we strongly recommend. Bobby Lopez, who we'll hear from a minute, Sean Dugar, who we'll hear from in a minute, and the first person we'll hear from is Shani Turner.
Carol, you misspoke. It's District 18 again.
What did I say?
14.
Oh, I'm in 14. I've got it on the brain. I apologize. Okay, go for it, Shani.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Our Revolution, for the invite. It's an honor to be here, and it's also been an honor to serve as Assembly Delegate for District 18 for the last 2 years, where I've proudly fought for justice, accountability, and equity. I'm running again because during this time it is crucial to have strong and unapologetic voices at every level of decision making. Since I've been a delegate, some of the things that I prioritize is action and service. I've led efforts, especially here in District 7, where I live in East Oakland, bringing neighbors together for trash cleanups, to reclaim our streets and public spaces. I've also been an avid supporter of our local small businesses, especially cannabis businesses, which is the backbone of our economy, by making sure they have the resources and opportunities to thrive. I also am the former chair of the Oakland Cannabis Commission as well. I've stood firmly protecting seniors. I'm also a caregiver for my mother, and through that experience, saw a lot of the inequities that our seniors in Alameda County face. And additionally, have been an outspoken advocate for Palestine, Sudan, and Congo, standing in solidarity with movements that's standing up against genocide. I've also been very present at every level of city, county, and statewide government, supporting elected candidates such as District Attorney Pamela Price, Council Member Carol Fife, and our new elected Councilwoman Latifah Simon. Also have advocated for policies to ensure small businesses can thrive as well. And also, it's not just about working with elected officials and holding them accountable, but being a delegate is also being present in our communities. Currently, my role with Oakland Rising is voter engagement, but voter engagement is something that I've done for years, especially here in East Oakland, educating communities about candidates and certain initiatives. I understand the urgency of brave leadership, especially with the re-election of Donald Trump. We need people who will stand against oppressive forces and to create safe, inclusive spaces for all members of Alameda County. And whether I'm amplifying marginalized voices, challenging discriminatory policies, or building coalitions for equity, I have remained steadfast in my mission, my values, and this fight. I'm proud of what I have accomplished so far, and I hope to get your support to be re-elected for District 18. There's some amazing people running, so hopefully I'm one of the 14 people that you vote for. Thank you for your time.
Great. Okay, thank you, Shani. Okay, I think we'll hear next from Sean Dugar. Sean, I have a question. Are you part of a slate or are you running independently?
I'm running independently.
Also, okay. Okay, go ahead.
So good evening, afternoon, whatever it is outside our revolution family. My name is Sean Dugar. I know many of you from my years of service in this community. For those of you who don't know me, my family's been here in the East Bay for over 100 years. My mother is what calls me a stereotypical Berkeley child. She took me to my first protest when I was 6 months old. In first grade, my classmates and I organized our first protest against the Gulf War. We got to walk around our school saying, "Hell no, we won't go." When I was 9 years old, I organized my classmates to walk off a school bus after the bus driver called us the N-word. I probably didn't know what the word meant, but I knew it was bad enough to walk off the bus and the mile and a half to our bus stop. I've been organizing my entire life. I've been fortunate to have some very influential mentors like the late Julian Bond, who used to say, "We have no permanent allies, no permanent enemies, only permanent interests." And that's how I view progressive organizing, is the need to build coalitions, the need to reach widely in order to achieve our progressive goals. And that's what I've been doing in the Democratic Party. That is why the chair of the Democratic Party does not like me very much, because I have organized coalitions to oppose a lot of the things that he stands for, whether it's accepting police money as a state Democratic Party, whether it's the acceptance of fossil fuel funds. I have organized on the ground within our community, but also within our party to oppose those. And so I'm asking for your support to elect me as not only an ADEM, but hopefully as a top vote getter so I can be on the executive board of the state party. Now, what you've heard today, I think it's very important that we know what the role of an ADEM member is. There are a lot of policy proposals. There are a lot of platforms that you're hearing, but it's important to realize an ADEM is 1 out of 4,000. It is extremely hard to impact legislation, to set priorities if you are not working in coalition. And so that is why I'm not on a slate, because I think there are good people on each of the slates. And there are people who do the work. I am proud to be someone who does the work. That is what I am known for. Whether it's reaching 110,000 Oakland voters last November in opposition to the recalls, whether it was the 90,000 phone calls we made to swing states for the national election. I put in the work, I build the coalitions, and I hope you all will support me in continuing to do that work. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Sean. Okay, the last person that we're officially supporting in District 18 is Bobby Lopez. Bobby, welcome.
So much. Thanks for the consideration. And excellent candidates across the board. I mean, Sean and Cheney have done a lot, and I served with them on the central committee, as have a lot of other people that came before me, Joanna and others that were there. Kaleem and others have been very active and positive in bringing change. I actually was stepping away from political life. I did not rerun for the Central Committee, but when Trump got elected, I stepped back in. That was a very choice I made, being queer with a trans child in my family, being an immigrant whose family is undocumented, being a union member and a city worker. These are all things that I decided to jump in to do. You guys know me and from being a delegate and central committee member. I ran the UDC before Sean. Sean now does the North County UDC and, successfully got a lot of progressives elected. And I've also haven't shied away from taking hard positions. In March 2022, I took on charter schools and almost overturned the whole platform on the floor of the party. In August 2021, I made a motion for HR 2590, defending the rights of a Palestinian child. That also was not successful, but you have to keep pushing and trying. I served on the state legislation committee where I was successful pushing COVID relief, tenant, and affordable housing. As a labor and policy analyst and labor rep, I've worked on the vacancy tax, the youth vote in Alameda, macro, the police alternative. I wrote the Independence Police Commission with Rashida and Kathy Leonard, a lot of amazing people. I worked on the first transgender cultural district in the country. I worked on prevailing wage in San Francisco. And as an independent, as a mom, I worked and supported our teachers on both strikes. I went to the Capitol in support of AB 1912, which was equity analysis before there's a school closure. I was there with Moms for Housing when we pushed against a predatory landlord. Statewide, I worked on the tenant moratorium during COVID. This past year, my biggest blessing has been working to push for 50 million for family housing in San Francisco. And this is why I have the support of people like Nikki Bass, Carol Fife, Zach Unger, Rebecca Kaplan, Rachel Latta, Cedric Williams, Jennifer Brohard, and Valerie Batchelor. And again, I really appreciate your time and energy, and thank you for your consideration. I hope that was a minute.
All right. Okay, we've finished with District 18. And I know there are other people here from there, but at the end of the meeting, we'll give people all a chance to speak. Right now, we're still doing the ones that have the special support of our revolution. We can only do 14 per district because that, if there's 20, that's just still going to only be 14 that we are going to strongly support. We want all our people to make it. Okay, we're going to move over to Contra Costa County now, where there are people from two different slates. There's just a handful of people that we're supporting. One is District 20 and the other one is District 16. So not 20, 15. These numbers drive me nuts. So we're going to hear from people in District 15 and District 16. Okay, so let's go with 16 first. We have two people from there. Marisol Rubio and Alexandria Rubio Talavera. Could we hear from you? Oh, your mom's here. Let's just hear from both of you.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, we're only on Alex's laptop because I just walked in the door. So we had the Lunar New Year celebration in San Ramon, so I just got in. Alex, please feel free to go first.
Okay. So hello. My name is Alexandria Rubio Talavera, and I am running to serve as an ADEM in Assembly District 16. I am a 30-year student at UC Davis, double majoring in psychology and Spanish and pursuing a minor in human rights. I would like to work with typically marginalized adolescents and young adults in high-need communities. I have been a Spanish tutor and teacher's assistant since middle school through college. My voice is direly needed within the Democratic Party because as a young progressive woman living with lifelong disabilities, I understand firsthand the socioeconomic challenges my community faces every day. As a woman of color and brain cancer survivor, I will bring more diversity and inclusion for our Latina and disabled communities, two groups that are currently underrepresented. and as a result, often ignored within our regional political landscape. We need more young women of color like me at the table who are committed to advocate for legally protected groups and will ensure that racial and socioeconomic equity become a reality. My lived experience will be a testament upon which those in power can rely on for firsthand knowledge. I'm committed to bringing transparency and accountability to our local and state government and will be a powerful voice with lived experience for the most vulnerable in our community. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope to earn your endorsement for AD16 delegate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll hear now from Marisol.
My mom, Marisol Rubio, is in the waiting room.
Oh, can
Yeah.
somebody let her in, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. I wish I had a 1-minute speech prepared, so I will try to watch the clock very carefully. First and foremost, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to join you today and to address you today. I think there are so many things, especially in communities such as mine, as many of you know, my backyard, forgive me for the dog. There's communities like San Ramon where it's very purple. A lot of underrepresentation for many communities of color, but especially Black and Brown community members. As you probably know, I was the first and I'm the only Latina that's been elected to this council here. And I'm trying very hard to bring more representation and more equity and inclusion at a time when more than ever, Trump and his people are trying to wipe away our history. And this is a time where we are very vulnerable. I think we need people who are going to speak up and fight for us and be a voice of courage and support for those communities who are suffering today and worried every day to even go to work, basically. So we need to make sure that we are supporting people who are going to be out there at the forefront of this fight. And I'm prepared to take that on. And as you know, I've been the vice chair now as a delegate. I have served as a vice chair for the California Democratic Party for the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee for the past 4 years. And here in San Ramon, I've been definitely pushing forward on that front to make sure that there's better, more inclusive representation of all community members. I humbly ask for your support today and am open to any questions you may have. Feel free to reach out to me personally. I'll put my information in the chat. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Marisol. I just want to make a quick announcement related to the voting. To vote online, you would have had to, by this past Friday at noon, have signed up. If you really want to vote and haven't signed up, what you'll have to do on the 22nd or 23rd of February is go either to Concord, Hayward, or San Francisco to vote. Those are the only places they're going to have live voting. I know it sucks, but anyway, that's the way it is. Anyway, we're going to do District 15 now. We have 5 people we recommend for that. Michelle Simone, Laura Nakamura, Pablo Benavente, Nadine Perricone, and Shirley Shinag. I don't want to blow it. Shirley, let's call on you first, and please tell us how to pronounce your name so I get it right next time.
Hi, my name is, oh, wait a minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yes. My name is Shirley Scholengoski, and this is the first time I'm running for the Assembly District 15 delegate. I'm really excited about it to get more involved in the political process. I am currently a facilitator for Contra Costa Move On. My other great passion is that I'm working with California Clean Money, where we've done a lot of exciting bills in transparency and campaign finance reform. And we are trying to get the big money out of politics, get foreign money out of politics. I've done a lot of different things with them. with Contra Costa Move On, we basically focus on getting dark money out of politics and also environmental, trying to save our environment. In my career, I was a parole agent. I worked not only in community safety, but I also had a chance to do grassroots stuff with a lot of communities that were in need. And a lot of our jobs were to to work with people to get them into programs as they were needed, get them into education programs, get them readjusted to the community. So I feel like I have a lot of grassroots experience in several different areas. I've worked in Richmond, worked in Alameda County, East County. So I've done quite a bit of work, and I feel like I really understand the populations that are out there that really need assistance. And I hope that I can be considered to be a delegate to the AD 15. I feel like I have a lot of life experience, and my issue is as a progressive. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. You want to say what the name of your slate is, or are you on a slate or independently? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not on a slate right now. I'm just running as an independent.
Okay.
Oh, and my name is Shelengoski. I know it's a little hard to pronounce, but really it's just looks intimidating, but it's it's pretty easy.
Okay, thank you, Shirley Shelendowski. I've got it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to hear next from Laura Nakamura. And also let us know, Laura, if you're on a slate or not. And if so, the name of the slate.
Great. Hi, good evening, everyone. I am on a slate. I am blanking on the name of it right now. I think it is the Democratic Voices for Social and Economic Justice slate. And I am looking for some of my notes. I will just keep it quick here. I was a progressive endorsed by the Contra Costa County Democratic Party in 2022, and challenged an incumbent and was able to beat that incumbent by 12% in 2022. Since then, I've been very active in advocating for the city's homeless strategic plan with a working group, and we came up with a very solid plan. Also in 2024, we passed a very strong tenant protection, rent stabilization, and just cause for eviction ordinance. That ordinance is actually under attack on Tuesday. It is coming back to the dais or the city council agenda a little prematurely. It hasn't even been a year, but it is back on the agenda. And for anyone who feels like we need to support our tenants and look out for those protections, I welcome you to get engaged in Concord on Tuesday. I'm also someone who believes that we need to be fighting poverty at every step of the way. Housing, making sure that we've got affordable housing that's affordable at all different levels throughout all of our cities, is something that I've also been fighting for, as we have been tackling in Concord the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing program that is part of our housing element, making sure that we can find places for higher density in areas that are known to be racially concentrated areas of affluence. We need a diversity of stock throughout our city, and that's what I've been fighting for. I wholeheartedly ask you for your support for ADEM, and you will see that my votes, when needed, will be progressive. And I thank Our Revolution for all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Okay, great. I just want to mention we're starting to get behind in time. We have a couple more people from District 15, then we've got District 14 and District 20, and then we'll get to hearing from the people, two people who are going to be running for Oakland City Council. So we'll try to speed it up here if we can. Okay, as far as I know, the two people that are remaining here from 15 are Michelle Simone and Nadine. Okay, so Michelle, would you like to speak? Let us know if you're on a slate or running independently.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I am running in AD15 and I'm running independently. I was endorsed by Our Revolution National last year when I ran for a voting seat at the Contra Costa Democratic Party. And I hope to continue to work with Our Revolution to push for a progressive voice at the state party. And I look forward to voting for a state chair that understands we need a Democratic Party that stands as a clear alternative to the conservative mindset. I'm committed to ensuring democracy works for everyone by focusing on working families and pushing for campaign finance reform, making education both affordable and accessible, prioritizing the peace and diplomacy over war, and putting the needs of people above corporate profits. And I'm a campaign manager, a former education commissioner, a legal surrogate parent, supporting the management of educational plans for students experiencing homelessness or navigating the foster care system. And I'll keep it short and sweet. I hope to earn your vote for the AT15 race. And again, I'm running independently. Michelle Simone. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. The remaining person on our list here is Nadine.
I pronounce it Payrican, but Americans
Say that
often
again, Payrican?
Payrican.
Thank you. Welcome, Nadine.
Hi. You can tell I live like 2/10 of a mile from the refinery in Martinez, and maybe you heard we had an incident. So I'm in a little bit of pain right now. There is one more person running on our slate. That's Amy Scott Slovic. And she's a far better speaker than I am anyway. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
Oh, I missed Amy. Apologies, Amy.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks. Thanks. And thank you, Nadine. We are running on well, first let me say I'm Amy Scott Slovic. I'm a registered nurse. I have been supported, or how do we say it, represented by the California Nursing Association for the last 28 years, and I've been a nurse activist pushing really hard for single payer and being, advocates for our patients, making sure that, healthcare is a right. On our slate, which is it's called the Resistance AD15 Progressive Labor Slate. The required the required things to kind of get on there was one that everybody on our slate it supports single payer. Everybody on our slate is for a ceasefire and not funding genocide. And all of us, I should say about 2/3 of us, have been real big advocates for what's happening in schools and education and support public education and are vehemently opposed to putting heavy amounts of money into charter schools. I also serve as the Sergeant at Arms on the Contra Costa Labor Council and was just reelected for a second 4-year term. And everybody on everybody but I should say there's 9 of us running. There's 7 SIFs, 2 OSIFs. 5 out of us are people of color. 3 have some sort of different ability that we identify with, and also so we have a lot of variance in our group. We do a lot of work in the community. All of us have been involved with our central committee, and we're a big voice for progressive, for transparency, and everybody on our slate is not a Rusty fan. And I can tell you, I've been the e-board member the last 2 years. I've been a member and supported by Our Revolution since 2017, and I can tell you right now, doesn't even matter who's running. I'm not voting for Rusty. So anyway, that's where we are right now. We would love your support. And also a big thing about the environment, like Nadine, I live 2 blocks from where this Martinez refinery just had this massive fire. So I apologize. We have a hoarse voice and we're all running with little headaches because, they're trying to poison us here. It's disgusting. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. And I would love to be supported again. And I hope for support from my slate. And Nadine's amazing.
Okay. What actually happened is Susanna Williams, who kind of is more the person on our board responsible for that area because she lives out there, is sick. and we had to scramble at the last minute. And I
That's fine.
apologize again for leaving you off.
Absolutely. Thank
Anyway,
you.
yeah. Anyway, okay, we're gonna move on quickly to 14. About half the people on 14 are here. Alfred, you want to say a few words about our platform, and then we'll run through
Sure.
those of us that are here, and then if you could come back and say 20 seconds about each person that's not here, that would be great.
Okay. Hi,
Okay, well,
everybody. My name's Alfred Tu, with the AD 14 Progressive Labor Slate. We've been organizing for the last several years to be the independent voice. We are not controlled by any of our state legislators. So we will fight for getting corporate money out of politics, for tenant protections, for Medicare for all, for all the other progressive issues that our revolution stands for. Taro and I have once again been leading the way in organizing this slate, and we hope to have your support. Did I talk a bit about myself?
Yep, you got 1 minute.
All right. So again, I'm Alfred Tu. I've been just elected to the Berkeley Rent Board. A long time working on housing, city planning, transportation, environment, all these local issues that we can make such a big difference at, and that we have so much work to do on at the state level. And I've also been doing a lot of work in getting more people involved in the party, especially young people, people of color, queer and trans people, all of us who are on the front lines against that other party, and we need to fight back. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. My name's Carol Coyote Cook. I'm the founder and one of the chairs of our Revolution East Bay. I got political during 2016 through Senator Sanders' run, as many people did. I'm an ADEM now. I hope to be reelected. I spent a couple years on the Berkeley Tenants Union board, and just due to too many things going on, I decided to limit myself to being on the ADEMs and our revolution, although I will attend other things. I was just recently on Javanka Beckel's team to elect her for a year and a half. My biggest concerns, and one of them is because of my age, is healthcare, and I fight for healthcare for everyone. I also fight for housing for everyone. Those are my two biggest, but it's hard to say it's only those two, because I'm very interested in human rights, justice for everyone. I could go on, but I'm going to pass this on because we're getting tight on time. Sherry, could you speak for yourself?
Well, besides speaking for myself, I'd also like to sort of add something to what Sean said. He told you, well, you're only one delegate in, he said 4,000. I like to round it to 3,000 because it makes easier to divide in thirds. But that's why all of you are here, is it's not one voice. We're trying to get a coalition of a lot of voices who will fight for, and this is my things, healthcare, civil rights, human rights, housing, renters, the environment, and to get, as I said before, money out of politics. If you saw anything about the election of our president, you saw all of those billionaires right behind him. I don't want billionaires behind our Democrats. I want people. I heard from somebody that was at the sort of somewhere at the inauguration who said there wasn't a working person on that floor except for the janitor who had to sweep up, that everybody there either was an elected or had skin in the game. So I am running. I've been involved with ADEM since Bernie Sanders. I've been organizing. I've been an ADEM alternate. I've been all this stuff because I believe that California can lead the way, and that this group of people, if we join together and we make enough noise and enough good trouble, we can change the direction of the Democratic Party, and especially the Democratic Party in California, because honestly, we're the biggest Democratic Party, I think, in the country. So thank you. I would appreciate you voting for me.
Okay. Next, we'll hear from Kate Harrison.
Hi,
Hey.
it's good to see everybody again. I was on the Berkeley City Council for 7 years, and this is my third time that I would be a delegate to the Democratic Party. So many people ask me why bother, why stay with this party. Many of my friends have dropped out. Even one person on this call, whose face I see, is not voting because she's decided it's hopeless. I don't think we can say it's hopeless. I think we're in an existential threat. This is the moment we have to stand up and say, no, we are taking this party back from people with money. We're going to work on tenant rights. We're going to work on criminal justice reform, despite the trade winds against us saying, no, police reform is dead. I do not believe that. We are going to continue to work on environmental issues, which is, I think, the biggest threat that we have, because we might survive 4 years of other things happening, but if we don't continue to work on these issues involving our planet, we will be dead. So this is just what we have to concentrate on. We have to say that we are here to say no to the machine, and not just the Republican machine, but the Democratic machine. So I'm really proud of the people that I'm running with. I am so impressed with this group of people. So I would ask that you vote for all of us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Michael Chang.
Hi, my name is Michael Chang. I'm a retired chemist. 2015, Bernie Sanders says we have to get money out of politics. That really energized me. Chinese has an old saying, worst of all crime is business colluding with elected officials. This is what's happening right now. Of course, we need to get money out of politics. I personally think that most of us here are going to be okay under the new regime, but there are marginalized people, disadvantaged people who are not going to be okay. We need to do all we can to help them. So please vote for the whole slate, the 14 of us. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, let me see. I know there's other people here from our slate.
Jamin is here.
It's Jamin.
Jamin. Yeah.
Hey. So my name's Jane Purcell, and I am running for 8014 up in the Contra Costa area, up with Sherry. So I've been involved in politics since 2008 when we had Prop 8 on the ballot about gay marriage. That was what energized me into getting involved in politics. That's why I have a background in political science and why I sought education and law around regulatory and governmental law. And really, I have noticed that not only is there a need for no money in politics, but there's a need for courage within our party. And that is something that has been desperately lacking. Not only are we seeing people say that the conservative and more moderate vote has taken a hold, but they're saying that progressives need to demure themselves, that they need to be able to be more pragmatic. And I think that those people are really just saying that they are tired of the fight, and they're not willing to step aside and let those people who are willing to actually fight step forward. So that is why I've been a member of the Democratic Party. I was running as the president, my local West County Democratic Club. I am now currently the secretary of the DPCCC. And that's because I believe that we need to have powerful voices that are going to be able to hold the line. And yes, we need money out of politics, but we need to also, what we really need in politics are young people, people with diversity of backgrounds, diversity of experience and culture that they're coming from, because that is the only way we're going to actually have a big tent party and not have a party that is run by people who, quite frankly, had put up a long, good fight, but are not willing to face the fight that is ahead of us today. So I think that's about a minute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
And please support me and all my slate members.
Okay, is there anybody else here that's on the District 14 that's running? Okay, Alfred, could you briefly mention the other people that are running in this? And then we'll move on.
So over here, you can see our lovely slate card. There are 14 of us running in AD 14. Easy to remember. Vote for all 14 of us. So some of the other people on our slate, there's Avery Arbog, who is from Berkeley, also is a student on the Labor Commission, has been organizing students, was president of the Cal Berkeley Democrats, and has also been fighting for all the unions that have been working to get a cost of living at UC Berkeley. Another labor leader we have is Latrina Robinson, who is a member of SEIU UHW, the healthcare workers up in Hercules in Contra Costa County. And then we have Sadia Khan, who is on the Albany School Board and was also previously a grad student at Berkeley and has really been working on basic needs, cost of living, making sure that our low-income students and their families can afford an education. And then we have Cecilia Lunapara, the Berkeley Council member for District 7, representing the South Side neighborhood where a lot of the students live. She's been a champion for housing, for transportation safety, and so many other progressive issues. Sometimes she feels like she's the only progressive vote on certain things in city council, but that's all the more reason that we love her and we need to support her. And then, let's see, we also have Seth Morrison from El Cerrito. He's a leader in Jewish Voice for Peace, has been really taking the lead on getting our communities to get to a ceasefire and a peaceful resolution to conflict. And then we've got a couple members from Pinole. We've got Cameron Sasai and Devin Murphy. Both of them are on the Pinole City Council. Cameron recently became the mayor, one of the youngest mayors in the state, and also one of the youngest Filipino-American elected officials in our whole country. They have both been doing amazing things on housing and on transportation, getting the West Cat transit system better up in Contra Costa County. And finally, we have Giovanni Jordan, who is also new to our slate this year. Giovanni is a member of the East Bay Young Democrats, which organizes young people up and down Contra Costa and Alameda County. And again, focusing on a lot of the economic issues that are so important to the new generation, whether it's housing or worker rights. And yeah, so there's 14 of us. And Carol, have you told everyone about how to vote and everything yet?
Well, yes, but I've told people, they have to have been registered.
Right.
And however, Sean Dugar wants to talk about the other places people can vote after you finish with 14.
Okay. I'll just do a quick sum up then. So if you've registered already, if your email address that you used to register for ADEM was the same that you filled out on your Alameda County voter or Contra Costa voter reg card, you will get your PIN number and password in an email from the party. Otherwise, look for a letter in the physical mail from the party that will have the information you need to vote. And that should come either this coming week or the next week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alfred. Okay, Sean, do you want to speak now and then we'll do our last group?
Sure. So I put it in the chat as well. There is a website where you can find all of the physical locations to go vote. One thing that is new this year is that you do not have to go to the location that's assigned to you. So if you are like me, I live in Oakland, there is not a location close to me. It turns out that the closest location is in San Francisco because it's downtown San Francisco. So I can hop on BART, go 3 stops, and vote in San Francisco. You don't have to go to the location that's assigned to your assembly district. Thank you.
Sean, do you happen to know where the location in Hayward or Concord is going to be?
Yes, and I put the link in the chat. In Hayward, it is going to be sorry. My screen does not want to let me zoom. There we go. In Hayward, it's going to be at the Labor's Local 304 Hall at 29475 Mission Boulevard. And in Concord, it's going to be at the IBEW Local 302 Union Hall at 1875 Arnold Drive. It's actually in Martinez. I'll
Okay,
put both of
great,
those in the chat for you.
great. And we'll be putting that kind of information in our newsletters in the next few days, just because I ran into somebody that said, "Oh, I really want to vote for you, but I forgot about it." And the person is willing to go somewhere else and do it, they said. So we shall see. Uh, anyway, okay, we have one more group here, and that's District 20. That's Alameda County, San Leandro, several areas that are unincorporated. Hayward, I'm not sure which other cities. It's out that direction of the county. I think first we'll hear from Barisha, and she can speak about your group, and then we'll hear from everybody on it, and either JP or Barisha can wrap it up with the people that didn't make it. Okay, go for it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Barisha Spriggs. I am a longtime organizer of Progressive. I was an original Bernie Sanders Our Revolution person starting in 2016 with our group, and got involved in the Central Committee. Went through, moved up my way through the Central Committee. Was also at ADEM in 2019. And became also an elected member of the Central Committee in 2020, running with the countywide People Power Progressives. And I have been also a executive board of the Central Committee for the California Democratic Party Central Committee, and several different positions. So I've been a progressive quite a while. And I am endorsed by the PDN. I have previously been endorsed by our Revolution National and our Revolution East Bay. Our entire group is progressive for our slate. And we believe in immigrants' rights. We believe in ceasefire. I was part of the big ceasefire resolution group in Central Committee. We believe in Black Lives Matter. We believe in Medicare for all. We believe in criminal justice reform and so we believe that this is an imperative time for us, particularly because of the Trump administration. We need to pull together and focus on our values, and so that we can get some progress in our society and the Democratic Party. I have fought against, police, law enforcement money. I fought against the chair. I've done so many different things. I am an original member of the Democratic Renters Council with Alfred True. And it just finished the Guest on 33 Justice for Renters campaign last election. We need to get that affordability and that rent control because the rent is too damn high. And so I'm really looking forward to being endorsed by our Revolution East Bay again, and looking forward to continuing this very important work. Thank you so much.
Okay, would you like to call on people that you're running with from District 20?
I'm gonna call on Aladrian. She's part of our slate. Progressive Power is our slate.
And again, everybody remember 1 minute max.
Hi, everybody. I will try to make this quicker to the point. Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm Aladrian Hillman. I am running with the Power Progressives along with Barisha and the rest of our slate mates. I am currently a political organizer for the National Union of Healthcare Workers. And prior to that, I was a flight attendant with AFA. I was the vice president of our local union in San Francisco as well. Always fighting for the rights of the worker, also making sure that we have a plan in place for our elder community as well, so they are not a forgotten about portion of our community. I know my grandparents were definitely influential in my life, and I want to make sure that our elders have those protections as they progress in their age, and that they are not forgotten as people that actually add to our community. I am definitely with a group of people that is ready for the fight when it comes to affordable housing, making sure that healthcare is a right for everyone, education, and also for the fight for our brothers and sisters in Palestine, as well as our immigrant brothers and sisters that are in our communities and just around our nation at this point, because it's just kind of ridiculous what's going on. So, yeah, we are definitely in the fight, and I am definitely here for the fight and asking for your endorsement. Thank you. I guess I'm passing it along. I'm JP. You're on mute.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. I will keep it short. I am running for re-election as 80/20 ADEMS, and I have for the last 3 cycles been on the progressive slate. This time we're called the powered. I put the flyer in there. The progressive power slate. And we have 10 folks on our slate who all have we are all aligned. It's going to be a rough 4 years, and we have a lot of work to do at the state level. And we need to make sure that we are bringing in people who understand some of those issues. My 2 areas of passion are education and healthcare. I am seeing the effects of what's going on at the national level. I run free medical clinics, and I need to protect our patients and our volunteers in our clinics. I run free medical clinics, and education is the other part that I'm very worried about at the moment. And there's so many other issues right now with our local communities, and we need to make sure that we're bringing in folks who are aligned with our mission, our values, and who care and are passionate about those areas of interest for our constituents, our population that we have here. I put the flyer in for our other slate mates, and let me see, I can pass it on to, I believe, Robert.
Howdy, howdy.
Is here. Okay, there you are.
Hi, my name is Robert Aguilar Bulutao. I'm running on the 80/20 Progressive Power slate as well. I ran for city council last year and was previously endorsed by Our Revolution, East Bay. A little bit about myself. I am a young cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia in 2011 at the age of 26. And so chronic means forever, and I still got it. But I I've seen how far the Overton window has shifted to the right, to the right, to the right, and I had to pull myself out of retirement in order to try and fight back against a lot of this. In San Leandro, I was the parent-teacher organization president for my children's elementary school for 2 years. I was on the LCAP committee for San Leandro Unified. I served on the executive board of a nonprofit music school, and I am also the current executive director of that music school, as well as a flute teacher. Um, with what I have done in San Leandro, my main focus point was to get big money out of local elections by having us conform to the California Voting Rights Act. And that effort to get big money out of our local elections led to me being outspent by $100,000. But that didn't stop me. I went ahead and filed that lawsuit in order to get us to comply to that Voting Rights Act so we can actually have proper uh, proper representation through the voices within our communities rather than the money from big developers and big real estate. Some of the big things I'm into, of course, healthcare, of course, housing, of course, police accountability. And I don't want to take up too much time. Thank you so much for your time. Please vote for the people on our 80-20 progressive power slate. Peace.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Is there anybody else here running in District 20? Okay, Barisha, do you want to just mention the other people?
The other people are Shay. Shay has been a big organizer for Democrats, and she has been on the different on the executive board of different caucuses within the California Democratic Party. She is a planning commissioner in Hayward. And she's definitely an LGBTQ rights organizer. She's been with some big name groups, head of the group for that for those rights. Joey has been an organizer for a while. He was with us when we helped Jennifer Epstein. He's done other high profile kinds of progressive work or organizing with students. Anish is from Union City. He's a commissioner in Union City. He's done a lot of work with us with Working Families Party. Well, Victor Aguilar, of course, everybody knows him. He's one of our progressives on the Central Committee, a San Leandro City Council member, pro renters' rights, pro affordability, pro LGBT. Austin is now a school board member in Hayward, very progressive, and has worked with the progressives in the past on our different slates, run for office. And Jesse is a teacher in Hayward. He's been very progressive on all the different issues. He's a public transportation rights person. He's very progressive mindset, criminal justice reform in Hayward, all different kinds of progressive issues he's worked on. We're all very progressive on our slate. Yeah.
Did you mention Anish?
Yes, Anish.
Oh, okay.
He's on our JP posted in the chat our slate photo.
Okay. I had to step away a minute. I just want to make sure everybody is getting mentioned. Okay, you guys are amazing, every one of you. What we're going to do now, we're going to hear from two people, Cara Marie Badell and Charlene Wang, who are both running for District 2 in Oakland to replace Nikki Boss. And after that, we're going to hear from other people here that may be running also, or people that want to make an announcement or whatever. Okay, so we're going to start. Welcome, Charlene, and welcome, Cara. I think what we'd like to do first is have each of you talk for about a minute or so about who you are, why you're running, and then the next thing that we'll do is we'll have questions, and you'll both get to do the same question. The questions will be from people who are here at the meeting. Okay, let's see. Cara, would you like to go first?
Happy to go first. Hi, everyone. So nice to meet you and see you. Those of you who I can see and the rest of you, I believe you're there. My name is Cara. I am running for District 2 City Council. I'm also from District 2. I grew up here. And, so my family is from this neighborhood. My dad grew up on the same street that I did. But when my parents got divorced, I had like kind of like dual citizenship in the city of Oakland, which is like I grew up in the Flats and I also grew up in the Crocker Highlands neighborhood. And in both communities, you know, I had friends who were funny and resilient and stupid and interesting. The opportunities were so disparate in those two different neighborhoods that I think it really like lit a spark in me to understand that even when you like, even if the people are, you know, equal in all ways, the opportunities can really shift things. And I don't think I really had language for that when I was a kid, but when I became an adult and started doing organizing, that's where I kind of like dove into this feeling and understood the systematic nature of it, because I worked at a domestic violence shelter for a year and did the hotlines, and also was at the shelter. I worked in education for a nonprofit that brought kids from different backgrounds across the Bay Area together to do conflict resolution education. But I would be like looking at the roles for each of the schools, and like just the health and behavioral outcomes would be so different just based on what zip codes the kids were in, even if the schools were all in Oakland. And then lastly, I worked in healthcare, and I work with a bunch of patients who had like life-threatening illnesses. And every time I ever asked them about what the issue was, or like the hardest thing about having their disease, the answer would always be healthcare. And that was how I got into organizing. Actually, I was working along the nurses unions, doing single payer healthcare organizing. And I decided to go back to school specifically because I wanted even more skills to be able to do that work. It's like one of those things where you try to pull out one thing by itself and you find it hooked to everything else in the universe. So I got my MBA from Morton because if you want to be progressive, it's good when people believe you can count the money. And then I also got a master's in public administration from the Harvard Kennedy School. I did reimagining safety work in 4 different cities, and then came back to Oakland and did the Reimagining Public Safety Committee here in the city of Oakland. And I also did a bunch of research in housing. And so now I work in housing affordability. I work with entrepreneurs and innovators who are trying to figure out problems in housing affordability. And so most of my life is just working with folks and trying to figure out how to get money and scale companies that are doing interesting work in affordability. And I think that is definitely more than a minute, so I will hold there and the rest of it later on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to hear from Charlene Wong. You hear
So much,
Charlene?
Carol. Okay, I appreciate it. And I had the endorsement of OREB, Our Revolution, during the outreach run. So first of all, thank you so much for doing that. I really, really appreciate having gotten the honor of the endorsement from you all last time. A little bit more about me. I'm an East Bay native, the granddaughter of farm laborers and raised by a child care worker. I'm a unionized public servant. I've spent my career basically fixing government to actually serve the needs of disadvantaged and marginalized communities because so often they fail to do so. And I've spent my entire career trying to do that and fix that since my mom fell into poverty in the wake of domestic and family violence. I've worked for the EPA right now, working with environmental justice communities to hold corporate polluters accountable, launch transformative social safety nets, including programs to take unhoused youth off the street and into housing and jobs, free mass transit, free preschool and Head Start. As an appointed official of the Biden-Harris administration, I launched a historic infrastructure program to redress the harms done to BIPOC communities due to urban renewal that is bringing 3 projects that will fight blight and potentially bring social housing to Oakland, and a second chance job program to give people leaving prison training and jobs in construction. Seeing Oakland's District 2 suffer right now has been deeply personal to me. This is Oakland's Asian district with 32% of the eligible voting population identifying as Asian, which doesn't include all the immigrants. Furthermore, it's a really working class Asian American community. People who are nail salon workers, restaurant workers, childcare workers like my mom and grandparents. And Oakland's Chinatown gave so much to me and my family. I spent every weekend with my grandparents here, and this community gave me so much stability, much needed stability during what is honestly a really troubled childhood. And it has pained me to see Chinatown be a shadow of its former self. And I want to work to restore this important and historic community. Also, District 2 is also the epicenter of Oakland's sex trafficking and commercial sex exploitation of minors. I myself was nearly a runaway youth due to the sexual abuse I was experiencing in my home. I served on the board of the Family Violence Law Center, which serves local domestic violence victims, victims of sex abuse, as well as sex trafficking, to bring those much needed services. And I know a lot of the girls who are being exploited right now are coming from similarly troubled homes. And so it is one of my top priorities to eradicate this industry without criminalizing survivors in District 2. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So what we're going to do now, we're going to open it for questions, and each person Charlene and Cara will each have 1 minute to respond to the question. And I'm timing these, folks. I got to do that, sorry. Okay, who has a question? It's going to be for both of them.
Right. I do.
Raise your hand.
I did.
Okay, Sherry?
Yes, I have the same question I asked Congressman Lee. Oakland has a perceived problem with crime. We also all feel like we have to have police accountability. We have to reduce racial profiling. We have to administer justice and then also consider the budget issues in Oakland. How would you deal with this? And let's start with Charlene first for just a quick answer on, I know it's a big question, but your thoughts on balancing public safety and police accountability.
Absolutely. I mean, police accountability has to be at the forefront. At the same time, what you'll see is that where there's the epicenters of gun violence and crime is often in our most disadvantaged working class communities. It is bus drivers and fast food workers and just working class folks that have to deal with the consequences, right, on a really real and daily basis. And so some of what I seek to do, especially during a budget crisis, is to look at ways that we can get a police department to be better managed, again, without sacrificing the really important just civil rights and constitutional policing. We cannot do away with that. The other thing, I'll give you an example. One of the ways that we can have law enforcement and as well as our transportation department reduce the demand side of things when it comes to this sex industry has been towing the cars of Johns. And right now, what is written into Oakland's municipal code is that right now those cars only get towed on the third time that they're witnessed to be soliciting a minor or somebody for sex. I think that's totally unacceptable. We need to make it so there are consequences, quite frankly, again, for whenever there's this is a non-consensual transactional act. So this is what I want to change. There's also, we need to use technology, things like that. One of the issues or one of the things that
wrap it up.
Okay, I'll just say this. We need to make sure that our police document and account for all the encounters that they have with their community. But there's ways that we can use, new technology to make it so that officers can transcribe that automatically instead of spending time overtime on our budget, spending that time just doing documentation instead of walking the beat. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Cara.
Yeah, so I have a lot of experience working in policing. I worked, like I mentioned, in 4 different cities in Baltimore, and most recently for Kim Janey doing her transition team in the city of Boston. And so this is an issue that I have a lot of experience in. And I've also done a lot of organizing around this issue. And obviously I believe that like issues like poverty, domestic violence, homelessness are not things that police can solve. And very often I think there's a lack of consideration for other possibilities in terms of solving, especially nonviolent crimes that involve like mental health services. And there's lots of examples in cities across the country of people doing that well. And I think I have been very clear about the fact that we're not going to hire more police and solve all of the problems of Oakland. Obviously, the crime went up in 2019 and 2020 the most. And that was also the year that we had the highest police budget that we'd had, I think, in like a decade. So there's obvious data that we can point to. And I believe very clearly that pilot programs to support new ways of thinking about policing, like Macro was intended to do that, but maybe wasn't fully funded. Ceasefire is one of those programs, which started in Boston, actually, where I also worked. And so I've seen across lots of cities that there are possibilities for changing policing. The other thing is that the number of people who want to be police is going down. And no matter how you feel about police, the truth is that we're going to be fighting over a smaller and smaller number of officers if that's the route that we want to go. And I think the smarter route to go is to figure out what innovation we can take on, what we can civilianize, so that way we're not in the fray with 100 other cities trying to get a dwindling number of police officers, and instead are thinking about how do we build.
Okay, wrap up.
That just like I would like to add, like I've lived in Oakland my whole life. I've been Black in Oakland my whole life, and so I have a deep recognition of the way that police officers interact sometimes with people of color, with Black people in particular. And I think sometimes Black people want more police in their cities, but I think the other thing is like being able to imagine something different and see something different is what creates change in our communities. And so being able to work on those pilots so that people can see something different is paramount to the change.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next question.
Yeah, hey, good evening, everyone. Nelson, calling in from Oakland tonight. Now I know just a myriad of city workers throughout all the departments, and they've tried a lot, right? To, increase operational efficacy by, changing the matrix of its operation. Now, from what my friends in the city say, is that although these reorgs happen pretty frequently in the name of efficiency, that often that's not really what happens because there are a lot of legacy systems and legacy contracts that prevail in, well, causing a lot of bottlenecks in operational efficacy. If you assume the city council, what type of measures would you like to institute to speed things up and to speed processes up in the city? Thanks.
On this, we'll go first with Kara and then to Charlene.
Sorry, can I just clarify? You're talking about the bureaucratic systems and like are you talking across citywide, or are there specific departments that you're specifically
Well,
concerned
like, I mean, a lot has happened, right? Like a friend of mine worked in Department of Transportation, and then that area kind of shifted to something else in the name of, a period of consolidation to, make things speed up. But she, basically has said over and over again, it's a big impossibility, and especially because there's kind of a class of worker that's awaiting retirement that is holding on to old processes that are prevailing and that are not allowing things to move faster.
Got it. Okay, I think I got you. And if I didn't answer it exactly the way that you dreamed, then you can say so. But I mean, this is the thing about bureaucratic systems is that change is hard, right? And I think all of us can empathize with the fact that even when something is bad, it's hard to change it because people are used to the thing that is bad. And certainly you're talking about folks that have been using these systems for a really, really long time. And so I think part of the thing that you're talking about is actually like a true collaborative process when we're making changes throughout the city that involves everyone and gets everyone to actually do the change, as opposed to like implementing changes from the top down and expecting that people will buy into them wholeheartedly, despite the fact that you have not given them actually any incentive to do so, and they are very familiar with the systems as they exist. So I think partly, like city administration in some ways, like city council doesn't fully hold city administration, but certainly there is a role to be played, I think, by the city council in order to truly investigate the changes that need to happen and be catalysts and super involved with the actual transition of processes in order to make them more efficient. I think there's a lot of awareness from the people who work there of what needs to change and how it needs to happen. And if we're doing that in a way that is top down instead of actually like pulling in the folks who are doing this on a daily basis and making sure that we're walking them through those changes and the whys for those changes and holding them accountable to those changes, then we've lost and we will lose in terms of efficiency and efficacy. And I'm with you. Like I said, I work in housing. So specifically permitting processes are a really big deal to me, being able to move things along more quickly so that we can support projects like affordable housing. And I have seen in many cities that part of that is working really closely with the planning department to make the changes that we want to see. So I think it's about kind of rolling your sleeves up and getting in there with the folks who are actually doing the work, which we can do as city council people.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Charlene.
Thanks, Nelson. Good question. I think what you're speaking to is really the issue of bureaucracy and red tape. And I have spent a lot of my career pushing against that. I'll give a few examples of that. Actually, at the federal level, before we were not able to build temporary shelter under the highways for unhoused communities. And I'm not saying that's the ideal type of housing, but in the Biden-Harris administration actually pushed to overturn that and change that. The social housing that I talked about that was can now be funded through the Reconnecting of Communities program. I often had to fight with lawyers within my own department to prove to them that no, actually we can do this. You are not interpreting the law. You're not like there are other ways that we can look at the law. You are just holding to the status quo. And I would say the other ways that, unfortunately, when we look at talking about our housing our unhoused communities, again, it's bureaucracy that is cruel. The way that people are currently put onto waiting lists in our coordinated entry system means that even a single mom child does not qualify for housing resources because she does not have high enough vulnerability score. So people are literally, the longer that they're on the street, only then do they qualify for housing. This is the type of stuff that I've spent my career working to fix because it is cruelty by bureaucracy is what I call. I will say that when it comes to the council and specifically some of the bureaucracy that we encounter there. I myself have tried to work for the city of Oakland just as a city staffer because I want to give back to Oakland in some shape or form, whether working for the city as a city councilor or otherwise. And I have noticed time and time again after applying to 8 different jobs, I apparently didn't qualify for any of them. I suspect that there is something wrong with the human resources system and that we really need to work on that as a number one thing to make sure that we are getting more qualified people into the roles because I know a lot of our city departments have been understaffed and so we don't get adequate services as a result.
Okay, great. Thank you, Charlene. Okay, would somebody like to ask another question? Raise your hand.
Carol Jamin.
Okay, Jamin.
Okay, so this is an issue I think in many of the Bay Area cities. I'm from Richmond. We face this. And this goes actually to recruitment and hiring. So one of the things that is oftentimes why people don't apply for these jobs and are not pushing for these jobs, whether it's in police, whether it's in the actual government itself, is that there's like a tone or an assumed like perception of the city of Oakland. Richmond faces this. It makes it really hard. And honestly, I think a lot of it is code for it's racism is a lot of it. But so I would like to know, what is it that you're going to try and do to try and improve the image of Oakland, and so that we can stop seeing our beautiful city of Oakland being like maligned by all the negativity, all of the we only see crime reports when things happen, but we don't see the good things that come out of it. So what will you guys be doing if you're in office to be able to try and turn around that perception of Oakland so that we can once again see it as the beautiful city it is?
Okay, Charlene, do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, sure. I'll take a stab at it. I think people build more trust with government is when they start seeing small but significant changes over time. And so that's, I think, one of my focus areas, right, is we're not going to probably within the next year, I would say, solve all of the immense issues that we have here in Oakland, but there's a few things, right? When I think about Oakland's Chinatown, for example, Oakland's Chinatown could have so many ways that we could just beautify the community in a way that doesn't take out of the city budget. There's a lot of Asian American philanthropic organizations, grant making orgs and whatnot that I would like to reach out to immediately. When you look at Boston Chinatown or San Francisco Chinatown, you see gates, you see ways that the community is really featured in a way that brings in tourism dollars, which is also important when we talk about the larger city revenue issue, because Oakland's Chinatown used to be one of the city's highest tax revenue generators. That is no longer the case. And so I think about just honestly reaching out to these orgs, making sure that we can beautify, remove graffiti, ensure that we really turn it into a thriving place. There's also a rec center effort, the Lincoln Rec Center effort, that I really want to ensure that we push and turn around and make sure that happens and breaks ground, because it's a convening place for youth, but also is going to bring in not only the youth in here in Oakland, but also serves the wider East Bay Asian community. And I think that's incredibly important for bringing in, again, the taxpayer dollars that will serve all of Oakland.
Okay, thank you. Kara, would you like to answer the question, please?
Would. So yeah, like I mentioned, I grew up in Oakland and I'm like an actual crazy rabid Oakland fan. Like I love the city. The only time I ever leave the city is to talk about this city. It's the only fun part of being out of town is that I can talk about how the fact that I'm from the best city in the world. So obviously I'm dedicated to personally being a cultural ambassador. But beyond that, I mean, I think I agree with all the things that Charlene said. Like I said, I'm from this district. And so I also recognize the changes that have happened in Chinatown. And it's not just Chinatown. Like when you talk about the East Lake neighborhood, she's talking about it as a human trafficking commercial corridor, but also everybody loves East Lake. Everyone's like favorite restaurant is in East Lake. It's like, Chai Thai noodles over there and like 6 Vietnamese restaurants that are amazing and Lee's sandwiches. Like those are neighborhoods that have a huge amount of potential. And I think, also obviously coming from a housing background, housing and walkability go really closely together, thinking about how to make East 14th or International as it's called now, and actually like a walking corridor and the possibilities that happen there. But I think there is another part of your question, Jamin, if I understood it correctly. It's like it's almost like a media issue. It's a perception issue about the city, and those are hard to fix, right? Like my whole life in Oakland, people have been making jokes about Oakland and how it's so dangerous and scary, and which is not the city that I experienced. Even in the flats, that's not the city that I loved and lived in. So I think part of it is, yeah, all of us have to be ambassadors for this place that we live, and like I think the trade-off between the city council and the city's people who live in the city, right, is we have to make it walkable and beautiful, like the ways that Charlene said, and expand the walkability and take care of our business owners, especially our hospitality owners, so that they feel safe opening new businesses and feel like their businesses are cared for. And then it is the job of all of the citizens to be ambassadors, to continue to bring folks into it and show people the beautiful parts of Oakland. Like I tell people that Oakland's the best city in the nation, and when my friends come to visit, we have the best day ever every single time. And I think all of us have a responsibility to be ambassadors for the city that we love, because I know people who from Oakland who live in Oakland love Oakland.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do we have anybody else who'd like to ask a question here? I'm not seeing anybody. Am I missing somebody?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, then I'd like each of you to wrap it up for a minute or shortly more on anything that you didn't say or wasn't asked that you'd like to comment on. Okay, Kara, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm happy to go first. I just first of all want to thank you all so much for having me this evening. It's been just a pleasure to get to chat with you, and hear about the values of this organization, which I think really closely align to my own values. I think that the thing that I would end with is just that, yeah, that we all like having a group like this one support me is one that it feels extremely important because of the accountability that I want to have as a city council person. I think, there's obviously been lots of questions about that, not just in our city, but nationally and in other cities. And the reason that I'm working with organizations like yours, and the reason that I'm supported by SEIU 10 to 1 and Wellstone and Oakland Rising Action, is because I want to be accountable to these community organizations. I want the people that I am beholden to be not just like community members and union workers, but just the people in the city of Oakland, which is why my campaign is so individually driven, so grassroots driven. And so I thank you for the opportunity to work with you, and I hope that you'll support me so I have another constituency to be accountable to who shares my values and will keep me grounded in this work, because I think we need to be in this together.
Okay, Charlene?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was an honor to get the endorsement from you all last time. I actually ran in the at-large race despite the chances being pretty darn slim against some pretty big names, simply to set up for this race because it is that important to represent this district. It's going to be a really difficult job, honestly, being an Oakland City Councilor during this time, but it's something that I deeply want to do. And I hope my record and what I have put myself through demonstrates that to you, my willingness to put myself on the line for this job, because I really, really want to do it, because of all the deeply personal held reasons that I expressed to you earlier. Beyond getting Oakland out of this crisis, I also have really specific plans in terms of where I think we can bring Oakland to finally thrive. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Oakland is a proudly blue-collar town. I think it's something to absolutely be celebrated. It's why I have the endorsement of the Alameda Building and Trades Unions, because part of my economic development plan that has a lot to do with putting public safety and jobs, because too many folks live paycheck to paycheck, is really putting the manufacturing and the trades and the construction jobs back on the map, because that's when Oakland was arguably at its most thriving, and we've lost a lot of those jobs, and we need to bring them back alongside a lot of the cultural districts that have inspired me, such as Chinatown, but also we have the opportunity to turn Little Saigon into an official business improvement district and really ensure that community can thrive. So I just ask you to think about that and the fact that I have demonstrated my commitment to the seat that is, I know, going to be challenging times for the city of Oakland up ahead. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Charlene. Okay, so what that brings us to is our Revolution East Bay endorsement team will, in a couple of days, this will get up on YouTube, so anybody that's a member that wasn't here today can watch it. And that's really where we get most of our participation, or people watching it after the fact. So it'll be up there, and then we will send a ballot out that will have asking whether we should endorse Barbara Lee or not. And then the other will be, should we endorse Charlene Wang, or should we endorse Cara Marie Vidal, or should we not endorse on that? So you'll hear from us. And I'm sorry to say we do not do dual endorsements here, because in the past we found if we do ranked choice and this and that, it doesn't support anyone. And the only exception would be if two people tied or something like that. Anyway, thank you both very, very much for coming. Okay, now we're going to move into the final part of this crazy meeting and have open mic. So if you're somebody, first of all, we'd like to hear if you're in one of the districts and you weren't invited here, but you'd like to speak, raise your hand, and we'll hear from, and then after that, we'll hear from people that just want to say something for 1 minute. Introduce themselves, the first time they've been to a meeting, whatever, or make an announcement for March. Okay, is there anybody here from a district that would like to speak? Am I not seeing anybody? Okay, that's it on that then. I guess the next thing would be, is there anybody here who hasn't spoken about anything tonight and would like to make an announcement or introduce themselves? Please raise your hand and you'll have a minute. Oh, this is the first time this has ever happened. Usually there's people that want to say something. Okay, I guess that's it.
No, there's Sean and Sherry had their hands up.
Oh, it's not showing up on my, okay, Sean.
It helps if I unmute myself. I just really quickly wanted to speak in support of another person running for AD 18 in the ADEM process. Oh. And she actually she's back. So I will take down my hand, actually.
Okay, what's her name so we can call on her?
It's Miss Fowler.
Okay.
Hey everybody, how are you doing? I'm so sorry about that. I'm having some technical. Thank you so much for having me. I just like to thank and congratulate everybody for their running. My name is Kylan Fowler. I am in Assembly District 18, and I am running on a slate, the Unified 4. We are a good diverse of people from all backgrounds. I am happily was the first transgender appointed commissioner in the city of San Leandro, Arts and Culture, and I'm currently the commissioner in the only transgender community. I mean, the only transgender woman. I'm sorry, commissioner in Alameda County with the status of women. And so I do believe that representation is important. And so I'm running on intentional leadership and changing the narrative. I do believe the Democratic Party, specifically California, We are the head and lead and set the example for the world. And we are what a progressive party looks like. I am all about unifying our progressive party because we all know if our head doesn't work, then our whole body isn't functioning properly. So let's get in here and let's change the narrative on how we have intentional leadership and make sure every voice is heard and at the table. And so thank you. And I hope that I have your support and my entire slate have your support. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay, Sherry.
Girl, I wanna do a commercial.
Whatever. You got 1 minute.
We have all of these wonderful people, and you understand that this is what we do at our Revolution East Bay. We try to bring the candidates forward that we think will help our members and our community have a progressive agenda. If you want to help us in this work, we need your donations. We ask for $27. It's our revolution eastbay.org. O-R-G. I put it in the chat, so hopefully you can find it. That also allows you, if you've been to this meeting and you've been to an event or a meeting sometime in the last 12 months, 12 months, then you can vote on the endorsement. And what's going to happen is we are going to send out an OPA vote just on the election that is actually a public election. So if you are what we call member in good standing, then you will receive that ballot. And Carol, thank all these people. I really honestly have to say, I feel so much more pressure off of my chest and my heart hearing all these great candidates. So we can make a difference.
Absolutely. Last call for anybody who wants to speak.
I wanted to speak real quickly in my not in my candidate role, but
Go ahead.
in my community role. So I said my name earlier, Norma Orozco. I also work with the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. We do a lot of work with criminal legal reform and just trying to make our community safer for all. I know there's been a lot of information and a lot of lack of information that's going out to the community about the district attorney appointment. And so just inviting folks who want to join, I'll be doing a 1 hour chat with Cheney actually and some other folks that I work with to discuss the new district attorney who was just appointed, kind of what that process looks like and what our plan is moving forward as community organizations working to hold the DA accountable. So just wanted to send out the invitation to everybody because I do know there's just a huge lack of information from the county on like what is happening, how it's happening. And so we just wanted to try to make that information accessible to folks. And so it's going to be on Instagram for folks who have access to an Instagram account, but it's going to be live streamed from Ella Baker Center Instagram, as well as Oakland Rising's Instagram. We do save the videos, but I'll put the details in here because it's going to be at noon on Monday. Tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that wraps it up for tonight. If you're a member in good standing, watch for a ballot that'll come in the next couple of days. And everybody get out there and do the work.
Carol, sorry.